Welcome to A to Z Q&A. I am joined by representatives from MoreTech. Today's program is sponsored by MoreTech, AtoZ, Greater Memphis Auto Dealers Association, and Memphis Area Legal Services. Some of the topics to be discussed will be car maintenance and safety precautions while maintaining vehicles. Let's get rolling. What safety equipment do I use to protect my hair, skin, and nails while servicing my vehicle?
Well, gloves are definitely going to be something you want to keep, whether it be mechanics gloves or like nitrile, like rubber gloves. Most girls have hair ties and stuff in their car. I know I keep one on my wrist out all the time. So that's important. Safety glasses can come into play too, but usually when it comes to things like, just topping off fluids or changing a spare tire, something you would be able to do on your own versus having to take it to a dealership or a shop. Probably won't require safety glasses, but they are also necessary. And a first aid kit is always a good idea. But usually,
what signs, symbols, or warning lights and noises should I be concerned about?
And your warning lights now can tell you so many different things about your car. A green warning light usually just means the system is on or functioning properly, like lane keep assist or your running lights or the driver assistance, because a lot of different cars have different driver assistance programs. Yellow usually means there might be something going on with that system, and it might be a good idea to have it checked out, just maybe even have the codes read or stop by your dealership if you're under warranty and have them check it out. A red warning light usually applies to suspension and brake and like vehicle stability systems. If they're red, that means you definitely have something going on. If you don't feel the car driving abnormally, you might be okay to make it to a service center. But if you're uncomfortable with it, a lot of times, especially new cars and used cars also come with roadside assistance programs, so you can have it towed. But any light that's flashing is generally definitely a sign that you got something going on and you need to handle it as soon as possible.
When I take my car to be serviced, what information should I know about my vehicle?
Your registration is going to have your VIN number, make, model, year. And also before you turn your car in for service, it might not be a bad idea to take a picture of your mileage, maybe take a picture of the inside and, do your own visual walk around so that just in case, because accidents do happen, if, something does get damaged or is out of place when you get your car back, that you know what you're looking for.
What type of oil should I use and how often should I get my oil changed?
Well, your oil viscosity and your oil change interval is going to be something that is in your Bible, the owner's manual. Every car should have one. I know it's the longest, most boring book to read, but it is useful. Your owner's manual is going to tell you what type of fluid every part of your vehicle needs, and it's going to tell you how often it needs to be changed. Personally, I recommend every 5,000 miles, regardless of what the oil change interval says. But that's just because I've been working on cars for a really long time. That's just my personal preference.
And what am I looking at under the hood?
But everything under the hood, as far as fluids go, you can access is going to have a picture on the top of it. The oil will have, like I said, the little oil can, and then your windshield washer fluid is going to have the little like windshield wiper, picture on it, just like the one on your instrument cluster does when you activate your windshield wipers. And then coolant is usually going to have a little like radiator, a little square with water inside it.
During part 2 of our A to Z Q&A, we will learn helpful tips for purchasing a used car. Thank you to our partners AtoZ, MoreTech, Greater Memphis Auto Dealers Association, and Memphis Area Legal Services for making this program possible. What financing options are available?
When you're planning to buy a used car, one of the first things you want to do is look at your financial ability. Look at your credit score and check your credit report. If you need one, you can go to www.annualcreditreport.com and get one free report each year. Secondly, you want to look for reasonable financing options. Take your time with this step because you can save yourself a lot of money. If you have good credit, you may want to contact your own bank for financing or check other local banks. You could also go to your local credit union to see what type of financing options they offer. Some financing is also available online, but be careful with those options and do not disclose your social security number to any online site until you have researched to make sure that they're reputable. Lastly, you may want to check with friends and family for assistance with financing your vehicle. If you decide to go to the dealership without financing, do not tell a salesperson how much you can put down on a vehicle or how much you can pay per month.
How do I know if it is a good deal?
When looking at financing, you want to be educated about what makes for a good financing deal. A good deal would give you an interest rate between 3 to 5%. And that, of course, is dependent upon your credit. An okay deal for people who may have credit challenges would have somewhere around a 10% interest rate. If someone offers you a 22% or higher interest rate, you need to look elsewhere because you will be paying more for that vehicle than it's actually worth. Now that you have figured out details with regard to your financing, you are ready to go to the dealership.
What are the signs of a reputable dealer?
Really, the best way to find a reputable dealer is ask around because, a reputation spreads and word of mouth is the best way to spread a good reputation. And also, reading reviews and, just do your research. And also, if you wanted to even go and visit that dealership and walk around the lot and look at their cars and just see how the sales people interact with you and just get the vibe from the dealership. And again, with reading reviews or asking around, because a good reputation goes a long way. And it's also, every person is different, everyone's individual, and so they might get a different vibe from one location versus another. So going and visiting that dealership and walking around and just seeing how you interact with the staff on site.
Another thing to consider is whether or not the dealership is a buy here, pay here dealership. These are what we often call we tote the notes. If possible, avoid these places. Cars are not in the greatest shape. The financing is usually very expensive, and most don't allow grace periods for you to make your payments.
What should I be looking for in a used vehicle?
When purchasing a used car, always check for the buyer's guide. This booklet is usually located in the glove compartment and will tell you everything that you need to know about the make and model of the vehicle you've chosen. Also, if a used car doesn't have a buyer's guide, it could mean that the previous owner did not maintain the vehicle as well as he or she
What
could
you're
have.
gonna want to try and do is get the best bang for your buck. You're gonna want to get what you want, which what everybody wants out of a vehicle is different. It depends on what you're going to be using the vehicle for, and then also, it depends on your price range, your credit rating, and just what you can afford.
You also want to look to see if the vehicle you are purchasing has a warranty or if it is being sold as is. If there's a warranty, look at the duration of time for the warranty. It could be 1 week, it could be 30 days, it could be a year, it could be 5 years. Be sure to check out the duration of your warranty.
What does as is mean?
If the sale is as is, you will be responsible for any repairs as soon as you sign the paperwork and drive the vehicle off the lot. In addition to making a purchase from a dealership, you can also purchase from a private seller. You will more than likely pay more to a dealership than to a private seller for a purchase. But you should still approach a private sale with the same amount of savvy as you would if you were going to the dealership. Some of the common legal problems that we see at Memphis Area Legal Services, as is vehicle purchases. Consumers don't understand that when they purchase a vehicle as is, they are responsible for the repairs, no matter what. So at least try to get a 30-day warranty so that you can avoid any surprises.
Can you provide a general roadmap of what to inspect inside and outside a used vehicle?
So when it comes to looking for a good used car, they're always going to be super shiny and clean and presentable, but sometimes that can be hiding more underneath. And knowing how to identify things like rust, corrosion, even potential flood damage is the best place to always start with that is always going to be under the hood. What you're going to want to look for particularly is going to be like rust and corrosion on certain bolts, especially around the back of the engine and on the lower parts, like down here around the frame and sidewalls and stuff. Because what that's going to show you, those are things that aren't going to come out with just your standard detailing process that every dealership does. The rust and corrosion can show you that the vehicle's been flood damaged or that it's just been under really harsh environmental conditions. And rust and corrosion causes more things to break during a repair process than should normally break, which can cost you more money in the end. So you want to identify things like this on the front end before you buy the vehicle. So it's really going to be best to look down around the front of the engine and around the pinch welds and the lower part of the frame, just looking for rust, corrosion, anything that just looks out of the ordinary. And then also you can always look at things under here in the wheel wells, like around the springs and the suspension or the brake rotors. If your brake calipers or the rotors are really, really rusted, that can also be a sign of either flood damage or just bad environmental conditions, because different parts of the country have different humidity levels, and they can cause, or especially if you're somewhere where they have a lot of salt on the road in the winter time, like up north or something like that, you know, that causes everything that's metal on the car to rust very quickly, which can get very expensive very quickly. Also, one of the biggest things to inspect is going to be the paint. You're going to want to look at the body lines right here. You're going to want to make sure that there's an even gap along all of these body lines around here, the doors, things like that, because if you have uneven body lines, or if maybe you have a different paint tone here to here, that's going to show you that the vehicle's been wrecked or that it's had some major structural or body repairs. And if you're buying a car, even though it's new to you, but it's not brand new, you still don't want a vehicle that's wrecked. So yeah, always look at your body lines along here, look at the door jambs, and just look at the seams on everything and make sure that everything is even. And look at the tone of the paint from panel to panel. And also you can look for the VIN numbers stamped on the inside of the doors. If that VIN number is missing, where it's been stamped on the door, like here, that means that that's been replaced, because aftermarket or body repairs don't come with VIN plates stamped on them. Those only come from factory OEM body parts. Probably the easiest thing to inspect on the interior of a vehicle is, what are you looking for out of the car? You're gonna wanna play with the radio function. You're gonna wanna look at the AC controls. Like, what do you want the car to be capable to do? If it has a really basic radio in it, it may not have Bluetooth. You know, when it comes to the interior of a car, looking under the seats and things like that for, you know, dirt, again, rust, corrosion, whatever, that could be an indication of something has happened to the car. But when it comes to the interior, as long as it's clean and in good condition and it has the creature comforts that you want out of the vehicle, like automatic air, automatic heat, or push button start, or Bluetooth capability, or GPS, that's just all going to be dependent on what you are looking for specifically in the vehicle you're trying to purchase.
Should I have my own mechanic inspect the vehicle before purchase?
And yes, that is a good idea, because a mechanic has an eye for detail and they can get the car on a lift up in the air and look and maybe see some things that you might miss on a visual inspection. But that generally applies probably to older vehicles or something with higher mileage, or that if you suspect that something may have happened to the car, if it shows something on Carfax or something like that. But generally, especially with certified pre-owned vehicles, that may not be necessary, but it's always a good option. Now, when it comes to taking your own mechanic, you are totally welcome to bring them with you on site and let them look the car over there. Most dealerships are going to be okay with you taking the vehicle to another location to have it inspected before you buy it. But if not, then you can bring someone with you, whether it be your own personal mechanic or just someone you know that is more, automotive savvy than you might be. But
How can I avoid being taken advantage of when buying a used car?
Now you've identified the vehicle that you want to purchase and you're ready to negotiate. Give yourself a lot of time. Go early in the day and do not rush to get an answer. Stay cool. Don't be afraid to walk away. Dealerships need to sell cars. Salespeople need to sell cars. If you appear too anxious, someone may take advantage of you. Confidence is the key.
if you don't feel comfortable, or if you feel like you're getting a weird vibe, or like they're being overly nice, or they're really pushing you to buy that car, generally when it comes to used cars, if it sounds like it's too good to be true, it probably is.
If you find that a dealership that you visited is engaging in unfair business practices, you can file a complaint with the Federal Trade Commission. You may do so by going to www.ftc.gov. You can also report that business to the Better Business Bureau.
What should I know about tax season in buying a used car?
Do not allow a dealership to do your taxes and keep your tax refund as a down payment for your vehicle. Do your taxes separately, and then if you choose to use part of that money as a down payment, that should be your choice.
Should I buy a vehicle with a salvage title?
Salvage title vehicles need more work than they are generally worth in 90% of cases.
Another issue that we see is salvage titles. Always look at the title before purchasing a vehicle. Private sellers and we told the note dealerships often sell people vehicles with salvage titles. You cannot get these vehicles registered in Tennessee. Dealerships can rebuild a salvage title, but they should have already done so before they make the sale to you. And the title will say rebuild.
What are common maintenance issues concerning used cars?
When it comes to general maintenance issues, most used cars come with a 30 to 90-day warranty. Especially if you're getting a certified pre-owned vehicle. If you're getting a certified pre-owned vehicle, generally you get, somewhere around 6-month warranty on it, where if you have any issues with that car, they will handle it. But with lower mileage vehicles, this doesn't generally become a problem. Now, if you're buying the car as is, that's outside of warranty, that's outside of certified pre-owned, then anything that happens with it that was in the deal. You bought it as is. So at that point, you're just gonna wanna try to get a reputable facility to repair the problem, either a dealership or an aftermarket independent shop.